Welcome, fellow historians, to a journey beyond the known chronicles of the Imperium. We often speak of Paul Atreides, the rise of the God Emperor, and the scattering. The forgotten lore, decipher the cryptic symbols, and piece together the epic sagas that shaped humanity's destiny among the stars. Subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss our first expedition into the deep past. The spice isn't the only treasure Arrakis holds.
They remember him as a monster, a tyrant, a being who crushed an entire galaxy beneath the weight of his will. For 3,500 years, Leto II Atreides reigned over humanity, a creature of sand and prophecy, half man, half worm, and wholly alone. His voice became law. His silence became fear. His presence became legend. But his empire was not built on pride. It was built from terror, not of what he was, but of what he saw. Because Leto II witnessed humanity's death across 1,000 futures. Extinction in shapes no human mind could comprehend. And where others saw destiny, he saw a trap. So he broke the future. He shattered prophecy. He sacrificed himself, piece by piece, to carve a single, impossible path through time. The Golden Path. A destiny so brutal, only a god could walk it, and only a tyrant would choose to. And yet, at the end of that long and terrible road lies the most haunting truth of all. Leto II did not rule to control humanity. He ruled to set it free. The story of Leto II Atreides is not merely the tale of a ruler. It is the anatomy of a sacrifice, stretched across millennia. For centuries, historians have argued over the nature of his empire. Was he the savior of humankind, or its jailer? Was his tyranny necessary, or unforgivable? Was his transformation a divine ascension, or the slow death of a man who loved humanity too much to leave it unchanged? Tonight, we walk alongside the God Emperor himself. We explore the visions that terrified him, the choices that isolated him, and the destiny he shaped with his own flesh. Because Leto II saw dangers no human civilization had ever imagined. Enemies without faces, disasters without warnings, futures collapsing into perfect, predictable death. And more frightening than any threat was humanity's weakness in the face of it. But how does a single being, even a prescient one, reshape an entire species? How does a ruler justify a tyranny meant not to dominate humanity, but to prepare it? That is the mystery of the Golden Path. A path born from prophecy, carried by suffering, and fulfilled by a God who never wanted worship. And the deeper question remains: what future could be so terrifying that Leto II sacrificed his own humanity to stop it? To understand Leto II, we must begin long before the throne, long before the metamorphosis, long before the terrible calm of his empire. We must return to the moment destiny tightened its grip on the Atreides bloodline, when prophecy stopped being a story and became an inheritance. Paul Atreides never intended to become a god. He only wanted to survive Arrakis, survive the Harkonnens, survive the Imperium he had been thrown into. But Prescience is not mercy. It shows features like prison bars. It reveals patterns too vast to break. Paul saw the jihad coming, a tidal wave of fanatics slaughtering billions in his name. He tried to resist. He tried to blind himself to prophecy. But the universe wanted a messiah, and it carved one out of him. Leto II watched his father drown under the weight of a destiny he never chose. This became his first lesson. If you do not shape the future shapes you. And in the quiet between visions, one unresolved question lingered. If Paul could not control prophecy, who could? Curiosity stirs. Leto and Ganima were no ordinary heirs. The spice-rich womb of their mother, Chani, fused their minds with the ancestral memories of thousands. Voices, dreams, wisdom, madness. A chorus of Atreides ghosts whispering in their blood. They were born knowing more than any child should. And yet, it was not their inherited past that shaped them. It was the future. A future only Leto could fully see. He sensed it even in childhood, a quiet terror lurking behind every possible timeline. A storm was waiting for a single moment of weakness. a predator stalking humanity across millennia. But no one else understood. Not Alia, their possessed aunt. Not Stilgar, loyal but bound by tradition. Not Jessica, who saw the child but not the burden. Only Leto recognized the truth. Humanity was heading toward extinction, not in one path, but in all of them. And the only way to escape this trap was to shatter the future itself. Curiosity deepens. Leto's visions crystallized as he grew. The Atreides bloodline, powerful in prescience, was the key to understanding fate, and also the key to being imprisoned by it. A prescient human could see the branching futures, but in seeing them, became bound to their limits. Every path led to vulnerability, predictability, stagnation, collapse. Humanity had become too dependent on spice, too centralized in its politics, too reliant on singular systems of travel, economy, and belief. A single blow, internal or external, could wipe out the species. Leto understood that the power to see the future was also the power to recognize that no future was safe. So he made a choice, not as a prince, not as a messiah's son, but as a boy who refused to watch humanity die. He would break prescience, break history, break himself. But how does one break destiny? How does one rewrite what time insists must happen? That answer lay in the desert, in the oldest secret of Arrakis, in the skin of the sand trout. Curiosity sharpens. Every Freeman child knew the myths, that the sand trout were the skin of Shai-Hulud, the larval form of the great worms. But only Leto saw them as something else. A doorway. He allowed the sand trout to envelop his body, forming a living armor, a membrane that hardened into plates, merging with his flesh. Their grip constricted his skin, his pores, his very tears. Slowly, Leto began transforming into the next evolutionary stage of the sandworm itself. He was no longer fully human, but he was also not yet divine. This transformation would grant him immense physical power, near immortality, and, most importantly, a form of prescience no other being could possess. The prescience of a worm. The prescience outside human limits. And in that vision, he finally saw it. The golden path. A single thin thread of survival winding through centuries of darkness. But the path demanded everything from him. His body, his freedom, his emotions, his ability to love, his ability to die. This was not ascension. It was execution by destiny's own hand. And yet, Leto stepped forward willingly. The final question remains. What future did he see that justified becoming a monster? Leto II did not become a tyrant in a single moment. His empire was crafted slowly, decade by decade, century by century, like stone eroding under its own weight. Each choice pulled him further from humanity and deeper into the shape destiny demanded of him. He did not rule for power. He ruled because no one else could bear the burden. And the burden was terrible. The moment Leto ascended the throne, the galaxy held its breath. Gone were the chaotic wars of Muad'Dib. Gone were the ambitious houses vying for dominance. Gone were the armies gathering in shadows. Leto created an order so absolute, it felt unnatural. The galaxy became quiet. Too quiet. No rebellions grew large. No institutions grew strong. No leader rose high enough to challenge his rule. He controlled the spice. He controlled travel. He controlled information. He controlled myth. His dominion was not built on violence. It was built on inevitability. You could flee his reach, but never his timeline. You could curse his name, but never change his path. This was the paradox at the heart of his reign. A tyranny designed not to grow, but to suppress growth. Not to inspire loyalty, but to enforce stagnation. Not to endure, but to prepare for its own destruction. But why would a god-emperor design an empire destined to fall? Curiosity deepens. Leto's prescient sight revealed a devastating truth about humanity. We were predictable. Tragically predictable. Humans repeated patterns, social, political, economic, with near-perfect consistency. These patterns made the species easy to control, but also horribly vulnerable. A predictable civilization can be predicted. A predictable civilization can be cornered. A predictable civilization can be killed. Leto witnessed countless futures where a single threat, a rival intelligence, a cosmic disaster, a machine resurgence, a hostile species, struck humanity at its weakest point. Unity, stability, order. The very traits humans believed made them strong were the traits that made them fragile. Understood deeply, painfully, a unified humanity is a doomed humanity. And so the golden path came into focus. Humanity needed to become chaotic, unpredictable, ungovernable, scattered across 1,000 worlds, beyond the reach of any single threat. But no species chooses pain over comfort. Leto had to force it. Curiosity sharpens. Leto's rule was suffocating by design. He restricted the spice, creating dependency. He rationed travel, creating frustration. He denied political ambition, creating resentment. He allowed no great wars, but also no great triumphs. No cultural rebirth, but also no catastrophic collapse. The galaxy simmered. People became restless, dreaming, scheming, hoping for something, anything, beyond the crushing predictability of the God Emperor's peace. This was the hidden purpose. Leto knew the human spirit only awakens under pressure, and only evolves when given no easy escape. His tyranny was a crucible, a slow-boiling storm meant to forge a new breed of human, not obedient but defiant, not comfortable but hungry, not passive but willing to fling itself into the unknown. These were the seeds of the scattering, the vast explosion of humanity into the galaxy. But before the scattering could occur, Leto needed to die. Curiosity grows colder, darker. Across the millennia, Leto resurrected the same man again and again. Duncan Idaho, reborn as Gola after Gola. Not for companionship, though Leto longed for it, but for conflict. Each Duncan rebelled. Each Duncan questioned. Each Duncan forced Leto to confront what little humanity remained inside him. Duncan was a mirror, reflecting the man Leto once was, and the man he could never return to. Why did Leto keep these clones close? Because he needed resistance near him, not to stop him, but to prevent him from losing himself entirely. But each Duncan eventually saw it. The immense loneliness, the fading memories, the desperate, quiet ache beneath Leto's monstrous exterior. And each Duncan realized the truth. Leto was waiting for death, but only when the time was right. Curiosity sinks deeper. Not all Atreides' heirs were bound by prescience. Siona was different. She was invisible to the future. A genetic anomaly, seeded and guided by Leto himself. A human immune to prophetic vision. Siona terrified him. Siona thrilled him. Siona completed the golden path. Because if humanity were to survive, it needed to break free from the chains of prediction. Siona's bloodline would spread that gift, creating a species of warriors, explorers, and dreamers whom no prescient being could ever control. Not even Leto. But for this change to bloom, the garden needed turmoil, chaos, freedom through fire. And none of that could happen while the God Emperor lived. Curiosity sharpens to a razor. Leto saw his own death centuries before it happened. He knew the riverbank where he would fall. He knew the conspirators who would betray him. He knew the knife, the water, the moment his worm flesh would crack and spill. He could have avoided it. He could have rewritten the moment. He could have crushed the rebellion before it began. But he didn't, because his death was not a failure. It was the ignition point of the golden path. When he died, his body burst into countless sand trout, spreading across Arrakis, restarting the desert cycle, and resurrecting the sandworms that made spice possible. His death released humanity, liberated them from his tyranny, launched them across the stars in the greatest migration in human history. The golden path was complete, and in the silence after his fall, one truth lingered. He became a tyrant, so that tyranny could never rule humanity again. Leto II's reign is easy to misunderstand. From the outside, it resembles every nightmare of human history: oppression, control, divine authority, and a ruler elevated beyond judgment. But Herbert was never writing a simple tale of tyranny. He was exploring a deeper, more uncomfortable truth. Sometimes the greatest dangers come not from chaos, but from stability. Leto's empire was the ultimate warning. A civilization so perfectly ordered that it forgot how to move, how to fight, how to adapt. And that was the point. Let us walk through the core meanings of his sacrifice. Leto saw what no emperor, no messiah, no oracle had ever dared to confront. Human progress dies in comfort. Empires decay when they no longer struggle. People lose their sharpness when they stop fearing loss. Across human history, every golden age contains the seeds of downfall. Success becomes complacency. Prosperity becomes rigidity. Faith becomes dogma. Leto understood this through Prescience itself. His visions revealed not just futures, but patterns. Cycles so precise, so repetitive, they were indistinguishable from a prison. With enough stability, humanity would become predictable. And predictable things break easily. This was Herbert's first great message. Too much order is as deadly as too much chaos. Survival requires motion, not perfection. Curiosity deepens. Leto II forced the universe into peace. But peace under coercion is not harmony, it is paralysis. He removed the choice. He removed danger. He removed the growth. Yet every cruelty was committed with a single, unwavering purpose. He was forging a future that did not need him. This is the uncomfortable moral paradox Herbert asks us to consider. Can a tyrant be moral? If his tyranny is the only path to freedom? Leto answers with his own body. He suffers so others don't have to. He becomes monstrous, so humanity never again kneels before a god. He teaches the universe a terrible lesson. Never trust a single leader with your destiny. Not even a selfless one. Curiosity shifts inward. The Imperium was addicted to messiahs. From the Butlerian jihad to Muad'Dib, humanity kept reaching for saviors, for figures who promised direction, meaning, and certainty. But salvation demands obedience. And obedience kills independence. Paul's jihad proved it. The fanaticism of the freemen proved it. The worship of Leto proved it. Leto's golden path was more than a survival plan. It was an antidote to centuries of religious dependence. By the end of his reign, humanity had learned a painful, necessary truth. No god will save us. No prophecy will guide us. No ruler will define our fate. We must do it ourselves. This was Leto's ultimate rebellion against his father's legacy. Where Muad'Dib became a god by accident, Leto became a god to destroy the idea of gods. Curiosity rises with clarity. Most empires seek unity. Leto enforced the opposite. He needed humanity to scatter across planets, cultures, ideologies, and star systems. Fragmentation was not a flaw. It was the shield. A species scattered cannot be extinguished. A species divided cannot be controlled. A species variation cannot be predicted. The scattering, though terrifying, is the most hopeful moment in Dune's history. Humanity becomes impossible to conquer. Impossible to foresee. Impossible to kill. Leto's message echoes across every corner of the Imperium. Diversity is not chaos. It is defense. He turns the galaxy into a storm. And in that storm, humanity becomes free. Curiosity sharpens toward a final understanding. Most martyrs seek meaning. Most heroes seek glory. Most leaders seek memory. Leto sought none of these. His sacrifice was not symbolic. It was literal, physical, endless. He gave up his body, becoming a creature of desert flesh. He gave up his time, ruling centuries beyond human endurance. He gave up his emotions, his ability to love, grieve, or feel joy. He gave up his relationships, watching everyone he cared for die. He gave up his humanity, because humanity itself could not survive otherwise. And the most haunting part? He knew history would hate him. He knew memory would distort him. He knew people would see a monster, not a savior. But he accepted that. He embraced it. Because the golden path was never about being loved. It was about ensuring humanity lived long enough to love itself. Curiosity falls away, replaced by quiet reverence. When Frank Herbert created Leto II, he was not imagining a distant galaxy. He was reflecting our world. The God Emperor is a mirror, held up to the dangers of charismatic leaders, ideological certainty, political stagnation, environmental exploitation, centralized power, and blind faith. Herbert was not writing about the future. He was warning us about the present. Every time we seek a savior, every time we surrender freedom for stability, every time we let fear shape our politics, we step away from the golden path. Leto's lesson is simple, tragic, profound. Humanity survives only when it refuses to be ruled, only when it chooses motion over comfort, only when it accepts responsibility for its own destiny. And his sacrifice, monstrous, misunderstood, necessary, remains one of the most haunting philosophical arguments in all of science fiction. Sometimes the only way to save the future is to destroy the path that leads to it. In the end, the golden path was never about Leto II. It was about us. About a species too fragile to survive its own patterns, too eager to kneel before anything that promised safety, too willing to trade freedom for comfort, faith, or prophecy. Leto shattered that cycle. Not with love, not with violence, but with time, 10,000 years of suffocating order, carved so deeply into the human psyche that rebellion became instinct. His empire died the moment he did, but his design lived on. A galaxy scattering like sparks across a dark horizon, each spark carrying the same message. Never again. Never again shall one voice command all others. Never again shall a species forget the dangers of certainty. Never again shall humanity surrender its destiny to a single throne, no matter how holy, how powerful, or how prophetic. And so the God Emperor is gone. But the world he created endures. A world built on suffering and saved by sacrifice. Subscribe, and remember, history always repeats, even in the Imperium.